What kills me is that there is a young man in the Midwest who was harassed and beaten by police and tased for longer than 30 seconds, who's a human vegetable now. Where was All Lives Matters then? Crickets. All Lives Matters was a counterproductive component of mass media to downplay the movement of Black Lives Matter. Why do I say that? Because it's convenient when Black Lives marched. This was before the Bernie Sanders interrupting his speech incident. When Black Lives Matter marched in response to all of the black men being murdered, media, whose funny thing, 6 of the most powerful news outlets in the world are owned by 6 individuals and conglomerates, FYI. People, going back to the keyword humanity, people are our own worst enemy. We are. Human beings are the only ones that constructed the nuclear bomb. Let's just throw that out on the table. Human beings are the only ones that came up with biological and chemical warfare. Human beings are the only ones to invent guns, planes, modern conveniences. Now, I'm going to be the first one to admit I would not last a day as a nomad out on the countryside. I'm a city guy. I'm a military base kid. If it's not within the confines of the military base, or I can't find it in my city, I really don't want to go out there and looking for it if it's going to be forever. But Black Lives Matter stated that Michael Brown graduated high school, but he was a suspect in a convenience store robbery. He wrestled with the cop, he got shot. But before you say anything, the media immediately went looking for any black person that looked similar to Michael Brown with a picture of a gun or holding a gun or a mugshot, any criminal activity, and put that on blast throughout most of the major news outlets. Yet we get the happy, smiley pictures of the police officer with his wife and his family. Perception. Perception is the most dangerous tool when it controls ignorant people. If someone grows up, and I'm going to throw Japan under the bus for a minute. My professor in my Japanese culture class said that the street lights in Japan are blue, not green. I'm like, I lived in Okinawa. I don't remember looking at street lights actively enough to remember that. I know stop is always red in every country, and I know that safety signal is yellow in every country. Blue? Okay. But if you enforce my belief system to not disagree with you into one aspect of thinking, who am I to challenge you when I have no other source of information to make a comparison judgment with? So, we had a teacher, not a teacher, he was a cafeteria worker in Minnesota, was recently murdered. He stopped, he complied, he told him where he had a weapon. Cop shot him 4 times. Then a whole community comes out in support of Black Lives Matter. When a police unit is saying, stop it. Why? You have black police officers. Their lives surely matter. They're wearing blue right along with you. But black lives don't matter. So, I'm going to pause all the thoughts real quick, and I'm going to run off my playlist of why I think the way I do. 1, my own life experiences as being a black American in other countries and the United States. 2, the Willie Lynch letter shared to me by a good friend from college. 3, all of the books that I've read over black intellectuals, music artists, biographies, autobiographies, books about black civil rights leaders in other countries, especially South Africa, and especially BIPCO. Not only that, being in an education system in the United States and teaching in Japan, and then bringing those experiences home and seeing where we break down as a country in force are all reasons why every life should matter. But this is why I don't support All Lives Matter. It's not a unified front, it's a marketing tool. being a business management major, minoring in Japanese studies, but I excelled at my analysis courses because I'm observant and I listen and I weigh all the options before I make a call. This is why I still support Black Lives Matters. When you are in the mental mode of survival and Maslow's laws and hierarchy of thinking, you do not question the larger events going on around you. When your daily survival is challenged, you care about that issue enough to deal with it. When your basic thought of reasoning is challenged, you normally would ignore it. And here's my example. Going back to my police stop a few years ago when I was working at Home Depot. If anyone suspected me of doing anything, in a court of law, I had the right to face my accusers. We know that. We're taught that in civics. You learn that in when you study the Constitution. I have a right to privacy. I have a right to free speech. I have a right to bear arms. I have a right to not incriminate myself. But for the reason of being black in a 95% Hispanic community on the south side of San Antonio and driving a Japanese car, I do not fit any normal perception of what an African American should be in that community. I'm not excessively muscular. I don't have dreadlocks. I'm not 6 foot. I don't wear basketball shorts. I'm not wearing $300 pairs of tennis shoes. I don't fit what the Hispanic mold of a black person being on the south side should look like. And when I do speak Spanish, it blows their mind. You aren't real. Therefore, I have challenged the core of their survival thinking. And understanding all of Maslow's laws and hierarchy of thinking, I'm at the point where I am conscious of myself. I know what I need to be successful. I have self-esteem. I know what I need to do. I have a career. I'm established. Am I rich? Hell no. But I understand me. And being a teacher, I have to break it down to the community I serve that there is a reality, a perceptive reality of growth that lives outside of where you do in this small community. Working on the south side of San Antonio, I told them about my experiences on a JET program. And they looked at me like, how the hell did you go teach English in Japan, but you're working here? I said, choices we make in life. I lost my job. I lost my temper in a classroom. Didn't physically harm the child, but I responded to administration not supporting me in disciplining this child. And I walked away from that school district. I would never want to go back if that situation was going to be held over my head for the rest of my life. It's not healthy. But at Home Depot, it's like, so wait, you can teach people how to build computers, work Microsoft Office, analyze a business plan, write a business plan. You've traveled the world and you work here with us, the poor Mexicans. And I'm like, wait, let's back up. First off, let's not throw classifications of socioeconomic status of race in this. Yes, this is a Hispanic community. I'm happy to have a job. That's really what it broke down to. I was happy having any source of income at the point, supporting myself. But when you do not fit the status quo of the community you're in, then it raises the uncomfortable question of what can we do to get rid of him, get him out of here. Home Depot tried to fire me. I filed an EEO complaint because it's funny that certain unethical business owners that were Hispanic contractors shopping at Home Depot were just trying to throw me up under the bus. But how does this relate to Black Lives Matter? Because it's not just police murdering citizens. It's not just Roe versus Wade. It's not just socioeconomic status. It's across the board on how human beings treat each other. I've been discussing this on Facebook because that's my main mode of keeping it PG 13ish without going overboard into a full blown collegiate discussion of the evolution of man. Don't want to go there. It takes too long. That's like hours of my life I'll never get back. And we still would have accomplished anything. So, action plan. Be conscious of what it is to be black. Can you be black while you're a white person? Yeah, no. There are situations like if you're the only white person in all black community, and you grew up with them and you adopt a culture and the understandings and you know what you can and can't say. Yeah. Being in a military unit and you're around the same people day in and day out for 10 to 15 years and you've been shot and you've bled with these people. Yeah, you can kind of understand some things about being black. Interaction. Interaction is the number one part of the action plan. You have to interact. Discuss movies, discuss music, discuss books. Favorite story. It's August 2006. AC has died in my apartment, and this is the end of August going into September. My Malcolm X poster went up on my wall in my small Japanese apartment. Tuskegee Airmen poster went up right next to it. Pictures from New Orleans and my friends at Dillard and my fraternity letters went up in the apartment. AC service tech shows up, greets me in Japanese, and in my broken Japanese, I tell him where the AC unit is. He already knows he's the serviceman for the apartment complex and apartments in the area. The man steps into my bedroom and sees the Malcolm X poster. And he says, "Excuse me, I've seen the Malcolm X movie 5 times, and I want to talk to you about Malcolm X and what it's like to be black." And all of a sudden, it's like my mind is literally just blown. It's like this 50-some-odd-year-old Japanese man wants to talk about being black in America with me while he's fixing my AC. Why the hell not? This is deep. This is one of these moments I will cherish for the rest of my life. And he told me about the Japanese woman that I've seen in pictures that was helping out Malcolm X in his later years before he was assassinated. And we were discussing the ethnic groups of Japan and their socioeconomic racism and their socioeconomic bigotry and how they don't support each other and how Japan questions its ancestral identity compared to where their genetic origins came from in other parts of Asia. But we're not going there. And I remember thanking him and wanting to keep in touch with him, but I didn't know in Japanese how to ask for his phone number, his email, or any of that. And I regret that. I really do. There's so many things about being black that a lot of people never understand. One of the things that I can explain without using race is that imagine you've been living somewhere all your life and all of a sudden someone shoots you to take what you have from you, or shoots a loved one to take something that they have from them. Imagine that someone runs by your door, knocks on it, and runs, but that's never happened before. Imagine a brick goes through your window for no reason other than that you exist. Then go deeper with it. Imagine that there's 30 people that all look the same as human beings, but you have some females, you have some males, but you don't get a job. Okay? Why? But let's go a step further. You get on a bus, but there's nowhere to sit. You stand. Then you're told you can't stand there. Then you're told to get off the bus. You get angry. Okay. You're driving in your car. You get pulled over by police. But you're in your neighborhood, around your community, around your people. And the cop is the same ethnicity as you. Are you drunk? Are you speeding? There's thousands of factors. But imagine you walk into a classroom, and this is why I'm a teacher. I was told that I had learning disabilities growing up. I'm ADHD, ADD. I have a DD versions of it now. No one knew I needed glasses. This was in the early 80s before vision screenings were mandatory across all forms of education. No one knew I needed glasses. I'm blind as a bat. I repeated kindergarten. And I was told that because I repeated kindergarten, I would have a learning gap socially and emotionally amongst my peers. I couldn't tell the difference. I was enjoying school. I love school. Then they found out I had a hearing disability. My left ear canal is collapsed. But I can still hear high-pitched, high frequency out of this one. I can't hear low frequency out of this side. They said that would affect me learning. I was functionally illiterate when I was 6 years old, and that's when functionally illiterate. I was diagnosed functionally illiterate at 6, compared to my peers. They said that I wasn't reading enough, so my dad gave me comic books. And about 10 or 11, I stopped asking for comics. I wanted novels, science fiction, fantasy, suspense, horror, you name it, I wanted it. I was eating it. By the time I was a freshman in high school, I was already reading at a college level. But that doesn't add to the fact that I've lived in the Philippines, Panama, Spain, Japan, and traveled the United States through work mostly, not family vacations. So I don't have just a black dynamic or a locked-in local mindset when it comes to dealing with anything. And that's the problem with a lot of Americans. What I love about Europe and the rest of the world is that they encourage their children to travel alone, or travel with school groups, or to go to school abroad, go to boarding schools, to put them in situations that are controlled, maintained, and safe to help them become more mature, more global thinking adults. Where I teach is a Title I school in a very poor Hispanic community on the south side of Austin. And if you're still listening to me at this point, thank you. I appreciate it. I know I'm long-winded. My kids are struggling with the base concept of what Maslow's laws and hierarchy of thinking state: food, shelter, survival, and emotional stability. Those are the 4 main struggles that they're going through before I can teach them. And the misconception is that teachers are educators. No, we're human beings with life experiences trying to show your child a new perspective on thinking. How does this tie into Black Lives Matter? Perfectly. We had a professional development, and it was a YouTube video that the school had decided to share with the teachers, talking about why I want to be successful. Beautifully shot video. First problem is that it's not Texas. There are no Hispanics or blacks, which are the primary population of my school, anywhere in the video. It's Caucasian kids that are in a nice gated community where parents are driving German cars, not picking on the Germans, and nice homes. And it's just nuclear families. The world's not perfect. Don't show my kids this. And a lot of the white teachers were like taken back. Why the hell was he? Who the hell is Montague to get up there and tell me I'm wrong for wanting to share this video with my kids? First question I shot back was, how many of you live in this community? How many of you walk outside, cut your grass, and you see our students walking up and down your streets? You see their parents going to work. You live where they live. You shop where they shop. How many of you have made that decision to live in this low-income neighborhood? Granted, crime here is very low, but it's still a low-income neighborhood. And I noticed none of you raised your hands. Let's take it a step further. How many of you want to live here? You don't. It's not what you're accustomed to, being first. It's not where you want to raise your children, second. Third, you're not looking at your children getting the best education for the taxes you pay at this school. So don't tell me that this video is the best thing you can show our kids. Second point I shot back with was, I like how Hollywood whitewashes roles that minorities should play in movies that have been produced over the centuries, over the decades. Because the videos that are pushed down the pipe from downtown in my school district always show white professionals, white doctors, white lawyers, white businessmen, white nurses, you name it. Everyone's white. So you are reinforcing and encouraging a negative stereotype that these children internalize and suppress their own potential because I'm Hispanic. I should only play soccer and eat tacos. I shouldn't strive to become a doctor or a lawyer or engineer. Because I don't see it. I have this meme on my classroom door, inside and out. 2 copies of it. If we had 10 black doctors, lawyers, and successful businessmen, and we showed our young black children this every day, they would become that, because that's the daily perception we enforce. But black lives don't matter. And then I found a picture of 10 Hispanic doctors, lawyers, and engineers. I put that up on my door, right next to it. And someone had the audacity to take it down off my door, the Hispanic one. Yet the principal at the time encouraged all teachers to put their college memorabilia and paraphernalia up on their doors. All kids have to go to college. No. Not everyone that steps into a classroom is equipped, especially at the middle school level, to even contemplate college. Don't feed into the education money machine. You have plenty of careers that you can go to high school and get certified and go do vocational training and still make a ton of money and be happy and successful. There are train union workers that service America's failing infrastructure that make more than I do. Granted, they work 70-hour work weeks. They don't have long vacations, but they have homes and trucks, and they live well, regardless of the community that they actually live in. It will always make more money than me. The issue is that someone way beyond my socioeconomic status decided that we can't control the African Americans in this country and we can't make them subservient to work for what we used to give them for skilled and unskilled labor. They're now a nuisance. But that was always the perception after the Civil War ended. Oh, you're not working for free anymore. Well, damn it. So now we have to give you labor laws and child labor laws and women's suffrage movement, and we have to give you some kind of status as a third-class citizen, but still continue to enforce that slave mentality. I.e., you can't have anything better than mine. It's not possible. Example, when I first got the car painted and put the sound in it, I was going to either Ingham or North Star Mall here in San Antonio. And I pulled up next to a Hispanic kid and an older model, but his older model was beat down and broken. And he looked at me, very sternly. I'm like, what's your issue? You can't have anything better than mine. And I looked at him like, why? That's my car. I paid for it. Why do I have to justify myself to you? His ignorant response is, my people owned yours. I'm like, no. Have you looked at a history book lately? Blacks and Hispanics were the primary slave labor of South Texas. Not the Germans, not the Dutch, not the colonists, not the people that moved all over Texas. We were. So in any way you cut it, we're equal in this one. I went to college. I got educated. I got this job. Deal with it. I walked off. He was hot and pissed off. I'm like, whatever. Oh, and the other thing that pissed him off, I had a beautiful woman I was dating at the time who was Hispanic going somewhere with me. That's probably what pissed him off even more. But when people get into the mindset of keeping up with the Joneses and I should have more than you do and you can't have what I have, that's when you start putting a price tag on humanity. What does that mean? You've had historically black communities throughout history in the United States that were destroyed by whites. The movie Rosewood was a fictional storytelling of a black community that was self-sustaining, that was destroyed by jealousy, misunderstanding, and perception. Humanity and perception are the two most dangerous words, in my opinion, in the English dictionary. Why? Because only humans kill other humans for things other than survival. Perception, if you can control the perception of a community, you not only control its lifeblood, you control its direction. You do. Problems. Right there. So the perception of Black Lives Matter should not be, oh, they're anti-police. They've already come out and publicly claimed that they're not anti-police. Key words, they are against corrupt policing agencies and individuals who are out there monopolizing their authority and power in the communities that they are supposed to serve and committing atrocities where you can kill another human being with no whim or consequence. That's what Black Lives Matter is trying to tell you. Now, if I had been white and making the same statement, I would have been thrown under the bus as a hypocrite. Oh, you're anti-white. You're one of them Negro lovers, which was the coined term back in the 60s and 70s. You're one of those self-hating bigots. You're one of those hippie liberals. No. I'm a human being that wants to be treated like a human being. So, flip subject. I like heavy metal, industrial, techno, and a whole bunch of things I'm not supposed to because I'm black. So imagine being at an all-black college and I'm playing Portishead. Everyone that was educated or open-minded enough in the situation was like, I can only listen to Portishead if I'm high, or I'm smoking weed, or I'm having sex. I'm like, you do you. I like Portishead because it's like it was different. It was jazzy to me, and I know Portishead doesn't count as jazzy, and Massive Attack doesn't count as jazzy. But to me, it's like music doesn't have a race, creed, or color. So why should you put a label on me because I'm black and I listen to it? And that always had an open conversation at college for me and getting out. And it was a wonderful conversation in Japan at a bar. Because some kid asked me, my Japanese girlfriend wants to get Portishead and Massive Attack. I'm like, yeah, I know why she wants Portishead and Massive Attack. And they look at me like, why? Because that's the best sex cover-up music that's global music ever. They looked at me like, that's true. And the best part was the white guy next to me said it before I could. I'm like, yeah, it is great, background noise canceling music when you're doing adult things. But how this all ties into Black Lives Matter, it's perception. Americans, we are the number one guilty party when it comes to, oh, that's not the way how we do it here. You're just going to have to adapt. Why do we force people to change? Why do we force people to be comfortable in our circumstance? Why do we live in the status quo and don't want to challenge and have better? Perception. And how this ties back to my classroom. I had a kid tell me, my great-grandfather went to prison, my grandfather went to prison, my dad went to prison, I'm probably going to prison. Why? That sad reality is his daily perception A black proverb that I love: it takes a community to raise a child. It takes a village to raise a child. You can change village, community interchangeably, whatever. To successfully change the mindset that Black Lives Matters is that we have to stop telling children, oh, you can't play with him because he's Jewish, he's Asian, he has funny eyes, she has green hair, he looks like an alien, he's fat, he's skinny. America is the most self-hating country I've ever seen in the world, and I'm an American. We are. So imagine I'm getting off the plane and I'm in Japan. I'm at my first day of work at Kumamoto Nishiko Kotogako High School, West High School, out in the countryside of Japan. You're huge. I'm 5'8" and 180 pounds. I'm small in America. But in Japan, you're broad shoulders, you're tall, you have a good stature, you are huge. The American mindset I had prevented me from taking a compliment because I was self-conscious about being black in America. Once you go to another country and you are not locked into what the media portrays of your culture, your ethnicity, and your culture and your beliefs, you are a human being again. For anyone that follows me consistently on social media and they see my hashtag Japan seems real nice, that's why. I'm a human being. I speak English. I can get around Spanish and Japanese. I want to learn some Korean. I want to learn some African languages. I want to go to Africa and see the birthplace of what I perceive to be the world civilizations. Yeah, I'm a human being, first and foremost. Now, disclaimer. I have friends from every walk of life: gay, straight, lesbian, atheist, Muslim, Buddhist, Taoist, you name it. I know people because I'm open to being a human being and making friends. I don't hold their religion or race against them. I don't hold their sexual identity. I don't care. My brother's gay and I love him to death. I don't get to hang out with him when we're in different cities, but I need to make that effort. He's family. And that's where humanity has broken down, to where we can justify killing someone based on just their skin color. Hell, Hitler killed people because they were a different religion. He murdered them at the millions. Yet we still have the KKK. We still have the neo-Nazis. We have British people that committed ethnic genocide in Africa.